Welcome to another FPL video now. I know a lot of you want to wildcard during this international break. Some of you have already activated the wildcard button just after game week 4 happened, and that's fair enough. Good to be on top of all these price rises and all that. But yeah, in my case, like I said, I don't think I'm going to wildcard, but if I do, I will let you guys know. Things can change quickly, of course. One good game week doesn't pretty much make you immune to a wild card, and the wild card can still be beneficial even if you've done really well in the last 4 game weeks or even just 1 game week. But I'm just going to be discussing the choices I've picked out in detail and explain why I've gone for some of these using some statistics. I know some of you have asked me to kind of use even more in my videos, and I've gradually started to integrate them even more so. But statistics aren't everything. I've always said this. They are a good measurement, and they should be used, sparingly, but I would not be so over-reliant on statistics. Having said that, I'm probably going to throw a load of them at you, and obviously pick out the ones that appeal to you most. Some of you, apart from obviously goals and assists, maybe in terms of expected goals, or most penalty touches, or stuff like that. So we'll be going into that now. I'll go straight into it now. Emiliano Martinez, even last season when he was at Arsenal, I really liked him. He was playing in the Europa League and he was doing really well. He was commanding the area. We all know how good he is now. He's one of the best keepers in the Premier League, no doubt about it. And he's a bit of an all-rounder now. The reason why I've selected him, apart from him having the most points for a goalkeeper despite only playing 3 matches, is because Villa have only conceded 2 goals as well. And in terms of expected goals conceded, they are second with 3.43, and only Everton have a better defensive record in terms of expected goals. And yeah, on average, 22 divided by 3, 7.3. That's per match. For 4.6 million, and he's probably going to go up before the end of the international break to 4.7. I have to say, Martinez is a great buy, and then with someone like Steer behind him, the typical Ryan Button combination, that should work fine. But Aston Villa, I don't think they're going to maintain this, if you're asking me personally, but Aston Villa are a good team. I do expect them to finish much higher this season. I will admit, when I was doing these initial Premier League predictions, maybe a month or 2 ago, I put Villa around 16th, 17th, but they might even finish around 11th or around there if they continue. But yeah, definitely, they've done very well. They've beaten Sheffield, they've beaten Liverpool 7-2, but we have to remember, it's only been 3 games for them. Still a long way to go. But them and Everton, the only 2 teams to remain unbeaten, to have won every single game, 100% record. So fair play to them. And Martinez is in there because, I just have so much faith in him, not only from an FPL perspective, but as an overall keeper, he's very good. One of the best, like I said. And his price is very, very good. I have to say that. And moving on to the defence, I have gone with Ben Chilwell. This might seem a bit reactionary, but a lot of you will have had Reece James just like me, and I am considering a move to someone like Ben Chilwell, and he's only played 1 game and he's got 18 points. He got the goal, he got the clean sheet, and he got the assist. And to be honest, he was just bombing forward. He was Chelsea's best player, of course, that's why he got the 3 bonus points. But Chelsea overall, they are ranked 6th in terms of the least expected goals with 3.91, but I have also said that under Frank Lampard in away matches, this is where the concern is with Chelsea. They have only kept 1 clean sheet in the Premier League in away matches, and that was against Tottenham, and they won 2-0. But also, Spurs had 10 men when Heung-min Son got sent off. So it is a bit of a difficult one with Chilwell, but I do think at 5.6 million, and another case of someone who could potentially rise even further before the international break ends to 5.7 million. Maybe it's someone to get in, but I wouldn't say, let's say, for example, if you have a free transfer, definitely don't just get players in now because of price rises, because what if they get an injury during international break? In the case of Ben Chilwell, to be fair, he's actually not even going to play because he broke basically COVID regulations and all of that, so he might be rested. We'll see if Chelsea take any action against him and maybe bench him or something, but I don't think that's going to be the case. You never know. But just something to keep an eye on when you're making these decisions. There's a lot of factors that come into play at times. But Ben Chilwell at 5.6 million could prove to be a very good asset, and what we hoped Reece James could be, because Reece James is very good if he plays, but if he's going to be rotated, I think Ben Chilwell in the Chelsea defence is the one to go for. You have Zuma. he could be very good at 5 million, but the goals that he's been scoring is not going to be consistent. But with Chilwell, for example, he's already right up there in terms of expected assists. Yeah, he played a very poor Palace side, but I think Chilwell can be very good, and he has a history in FPL, over 100 points in the last 2 seasons, and he's playing arguably in a better team, and maybe the signings will click and Chilwell will just be a very good player. The fixtures are, of course, pretty decent. A lot of greys, but then again, I think the home matches is where you would be expecting clean sheets. In the away matches, maybe some assists or something. Like I said, I'm not too confident on the Chelsea defence yet, but Ben Chilwell, definitely a very popular option at the moment. And moving on to the others now, I will admit, Kyle Walker-Peters, maybe not everyone's favourite to get in, but Southampton, it might be good to have someone cover there defensively. They've just kept 2 clean sheets, and Kyle Walker-Peters also got an assist against Tottenham Hotspur. And to be honest, there are other alternatives. There's Dallas from Leeds, there's Ayling, of course, as well, Lamptey and Konsa from Aston Villa. So around this price bracket, there's a lot of options for sure. I've just put Kyle Walker-Peters in here because, for example, in my case, I've got McCarthy, and I would like someone in the Southampton defence if I were to get rid of McCarthy. And like I said, if I were to move from McCarthy, I'd get Martinez in, and to have that Southampton cover in defence, someone with assist potential as well. I think Kyle Walker-Peters could do a very good job. And 4.5 million, can't really go wrong. But I am not expecting too many clean sheets from Southampton, definitely not, even though they've just got 2 in a row. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. He's already pretty much got half of the points that he got pretty much in the last 2 seasons. And we're only 4 game weeks in. But yeah, Kyle Walker-Peters, he's someone to look out for. And then the others that I said, the Leeds defenders, they bomb forward. They are very, very good assets to own. And Lamptey, of course, very good going forward. Defensively, I don't trust Brighton. And then you have Konsa. On the other hand, he's got a bit of threat from set pieces, but also Aston Villa are probably the best defence out of those that I mentioned so far this season. I do think Leeds will improve and potentially match Aston Villa in terms of the defence, but we'll have to wait and see there. I'm more interested with Leeds in their attacking, and that's why I highlighted Dallas and Ayling, but we'll have to wait and see there. That's Kyle Walker-Peters for you. Maybe not the ideal choice, but around that price bracket, I do think there are some gems and people you can bring in and play quite consistently, if we're being honest. And moving on to Castagna now, in terms of overperforming his expected goals, which isn't something you want to be having, but in terms of overperforming his expected goal involvement, should I say, he's the highest. He's top of the table with 2.08 more. And to be honest, with Castagna, I was actually very adamant of getting him in after the first 3 games. But then you look at West Ham, and I can't lie, that really put a dent in my expectations for Leicester and for Castagna. But Leicester, they do the best when they can counter-attack a team. West Ham played Leicester at their own game, and they got the points they deserved to. But 5.7 million, and he actually could rise according to I think it's Football Fix or Fantasy Fix. Apparently he might rise. These sites haven't been too reliable this season, but it's very hard to predict. It's a volatile transfer market. But Castagna is a quality player, don't get me wrong. I will expect him to get more clean sheets, assists definitely, and goals, but maybe there are better options. I'm just saying, in terms of defenders, he's still the highest scoring defender. He is still very popular. People are bringing him in regardless of West Ham. And Castagna, I think, can still be very good. In my case, though, I think I would hold off a bit. I want to see a bit more from Leicester because, 5.7 million, maybe you want a bit more in terms of clean sheets. But we'll have to wait and see. Still a very good option, and we'll see how he does. Now, Roman Saiss, I've already got him in my team, and he actually played left wing-back. This is something I didn't say in my last video. He played left wing-back against Fulham, and this guy just seems to be covering everywhere. He played left centre-back, of course, in the first 3 games. And he's got 5 bonus points so far this season. And he got the goal, obviously, against Sheffield away. And I actually think Saiss is the best option in the Wolves defence. But there's also Cody, who's 0.1 million cheaper, of course. And there are alternatives, like I said, with Zuma at the £5 million bracket. There's also Mings if you want. But Wolves also have the most clean sheets in 2020, like I said in my last video. And all of these things, yeah, you'd want to have someone like Saiss in, especially with this fixture on the next 4 games, or should I say 3 games, because Leicester away would probably be a bit more difficult. But yeah, with Wolves, I'm not going to say they're going to keep a clean sheet in all of these games, but they can definitely get at least one. They've already got one against Fulham, which I brought him in for, so we'll have to wait and see what he does. But yeah, Roman Saiss, very, very happy with him, and he's someone I would recommend bringing in on a wild card. So yeah, Roman Saiss in there. And with Mitchell, he's a budget enabler if we're being honest, and he's got the most points at his price, but he's going to lose his spot soon. When Ferguson is back, he could be the best at 4 million. But look at these fixtures. In terms of the FDR, very, very good. But it's just a question of when does Patrick Van Aanholt come back. He's already in training. He should be back, I'd say, by game week 7. But I'm no doctor. I'm not affiliated with Palace. So don't take my word for it. I'm just saying, at the moment, Mitchell's still a good option. But yeah, just take with a pinch of salt. And yeah, he's been very good so far, even though against Chelsea he conceded a penalty, and yeah, Palace were just awful. But still, 4.1 million, can't go too wrong, really. And going into the midfield, which, let's be honest, is the main thing in terms of Fantasy Premier League. Who do we start with? Well, let's see. What do I have in my notes? Mohamed Salah. Now, let's be honest with Salah. This guy, I have to say, he's very underappreciated in FPL and maybe even in real life. But like I said, against Villa, he was the only one who turned up. He carried Liverpool, yeah, albeit to a 7-2 loss, but without him, they wouldn't have scored. They didn't have any buy up front. Firmino did a great assist for him, but Firmino's just not offering any goal for it. I've even seen Liverpool fans call for someone else like Haaland or Dybala in Firmino's place. But Salah, I mean, where do you start in terms of statistics? I mean, yeah, in terms of points, he's right up there with the very best, like Son and Kane. And then he's got these 2 home fixtures that I've highlighted in the last video, Sheffield and West Ham at home. He can definitely do very well there. Everton away, I will admit I don't expect much in that game from Salah, but very happy with what he's done so far. In terms of statistics, expected assists, he is top with 1.48. What about expected goals? He's second, 3.23, and I think only Jorginho is above him in that. And in terms of expected goal involvement overall, he is top, 4.35. But is that all? No. Most penalty touches, 42, and that's 12 clear of Sterling, who is second in that table. That is, the statistics just all show that Salah this season has been one of the best, if not the best player in the Premier League. And those statistics are obviously very encouraging because he's already got a lot of goals so far, and he's got the assist potential to go with it. And it shows that him and Mane are carrying Liverpool's attack. And the penalty touches statistic is very good because he's on penalties. He can win a penalty and then take it himself, or if Milner's on the pitch, he'll get the assist for it. And that obviously spells more goals unless he misses, which hopefully he doesn't. But yeah, Mohamed Salah, in my opinion, the best FPL asset. I did say at the beginning of the season it was De Bruyne, but that's more of a last season thing. So far this season, I have to say Salah is probably my favourite FPL asset, if not, top 3. He's been very, very good. Of course, if some people will still prefer Mane, and I understand that, I just think that Salah being on penalties and also just being better statistically, I always go with Salah, even though I didn't last season, but, we'll forget that. But Mohamed Salah, very, very good player. You can't really go against him. And like I always say, when you watch Liverpool, do you want to watch them without owning Salah? Probably not. You'd want to have at least Mane in there. And quick disclaimer, because I always say you have to have at least one Liverpool defender in here. The fact that Alisson is out until the 21st of November, roughly, it kind of doesn't bode well for them. I don't think they'll get as many clean sheets as they would with Alisson. But still, if possible, I'd want to have Robertson, of course. He looks like the best left-back in the league, obviously, because he is. But this season he's just been incredible. Just a shame that Liverpool, as a defensive unit and as a team, they're not defending well. But yeah, you could still get them in there. So if you downgrade someone like De Bruyne, who I'll be discussing very shortly, you could make money, let's say, go from Castagna to Robertson, or Kane, who I'll also discuss later. There are ways of mixing things about. It depends on who you really want in there at the moment, depending on the form and also all these little factors. So for example, Adrian being in goal instead of Alisson, that kind of, it puts a dent in the Liverpool defensive assets, but that's only for the time being. I do think Liverpool defensive assets will come good, and Robertson has already been very good this season. Just one really bad game from him. He produced in all the other games. But moving on to Kevin De Bruyne, who is, in my opinion, still the best player in the league. Very disappointing so far this season, I will admit. But Aguero is back in training. They play Arsenal next, and Kevin De Bruyne has a very, very good record against Arsenal. He's a consistent player. He normally doesn't go 2, 3, 4 games without getting an assist or goal. It could happen. I'm not saying it's never going to happen to him, but yeah, he's been a bit unlucky. He hit the post against Leeds, and he still created a lot of chances in the 2 games that he has blanked. But I'm just happy I didn't captain him, and I will be honest, in terms of a captaincy option, which you want at this price bracket, I am not completely sure on Kevin De Bruyne, so I completely understand if you go with someone like Sterling, that's fine, or if you go with someone else, but I still back Kevin De Bruyne to come good, and I think he'll do something against Arsenal, and if not, he's got a lot of good fixtures here, even if they are kind of rated pretty poorly on the FDR. But Kevin De Bruyne is just so good. He's on free kicks, he's on corners, and on penalties. And yeah, in my opinion, he's only going to get better, but we'll have to wait and see. In terms of the captaincy, I am not convinced at the moment, even though I might captain him against Arsenal. That's the only thing I would say when you're considering someone of this price bracket. Would you want to captain them? If not, maybe look elsewhere. But in my case, I probably would still keep him on a wild card. Maybe not, but still back him. Let's just say it that way. Now, in terms of Son, the man of the moment, for good and bad reasons, this guy has just been up and down, up and down. 2 blanks and then 2 massive hauls, 42 points in 2 games. He is the highest scoring player in the game. He's got a 60% conversion rate, which is not sustainable, especially with Son, who I wouldn't say he's a poor finisher, but he does miss a lot of chances. But at his price bracket, he is the best. And the fact that he's got the most points of any player, and he came off at half-time against Newcastle, that does speak volumes. I think he would have got something against Newcastle if he had stayed. Spurs looked much worse when he came off, I have to say that. And when you look at Spurs overall as a team, they have the joint most goals, 12, along with Everton and Leicester, and they also have the highest expected goals. So they are still meeting and matching the metrics. So yeah, in terms of Son being a great FPL asset, I think Spurs, what they're doing going forward, can be a bit sustainable. I don't think they're going to score 6 goals every game, of course not. That's United being very poor as well, if we're being honest. But him and Kane are forming the best partnership in the Premier League at the moment, unfortunately. But you can't look past that. And the amount of times they're combining for each other's goals, I mean, Kane assisted 5 of Son's goals, and then Son assisted Kane's goal at Old Trafford. So you have to say they're doing very, very well. And in my opinion, Son at 9 million maybe is the best FPL asset this season so far. But if you have someone like him, you have to be patient and you have to be prepared for maybe sometimes these odd suspensions that Son gets, or these little injuries or rests, because when he delivers, he's absolutely on fire. And this season, he's been very, very good for Spurs, and a key reason why they've been demolishing teams away from home. At home, I will say, at home is where they have lacked a bit of bite. And I'm not including their 7-2 win against some random team in the Europa League, but I'm talking about in the Premier League when they drew to Newcastle 1-1 and they lost to Everton 1-0. And to be honest, they were outplayed and Spurs were so poor that day. And even in the Carabao Cup against Chelsea, they only scored 1 goal, and that was the equaliser. So at home, I still have some doubts about Spurs, but away from home, when they're counter-attacking, the synergy between Son and Kane is something else at the moment. Definitely bring him in on a wild card. A lot of people are wildcarding because of Son, if we're being honest. But that's my summary of him. I definitely think you should try get him in. If it's a case of I don't trust Spurs enough yet, so I only want to get one of Son or Kane, I would go with Son because of the price, because of the extra points for scoring when you're a midfielder, the clean sheet, all that stuff. I would still get Heung-min Son. Now, finishing off the midfield, because I won't really talk about Basuma. You could go with anyone you want. You could get Romeu if you want, because he got 11 points in his last game. You could get Oliver Burke. You could get Anguissa. There are a few options. I'm just sticking with Basuma there. Let's just forget about that. Let's talk about James Rodriguez. In terms of expected assists, he's second, 1.41. In terms of expected goal involvement, he is fourth with 2.72. He's even higher than Son, but let's remember Son came off at halftime against Newcastle where he could have done something and risen that statistic. But he's got Dominic Calvert-Lewin to supply, of all people, who is the most informed forward in the league, in my opinion. And Everton are joint top scorers, as I've said before, and they are third in terms of expected goals, and they're only behind Spurs and Liverpool. So, in my opinion, Everton have been the best team this season. In terms of expected goals conceded, they are pretty much the best. So they have the best defence, they have one of the best attacks, and they've got a very good midfield. I think that's the key reason why they're doing so well. They've brought in a new keeper, so maybe they can get some more clean sheets. But overall, yeah, James Rodriguez, at home he's been a beast. Even away from home, he's been controlling the game. Yeah, he hasn't got any goals or assists away from home, but that could come. I don't think he's going to blank in every single away game, but I don't expect him to deliver in every single home game. Now, he's got Liverpool at home next, and like I said in my last video, Carlo Ancelotti has said before their game against Brighton that James Rodriguez might be rested for the Liverpool game or benched or whatever because he has a game against Colombia just days before against Liverpool, and James is injury prone. They don't want to risk him maybe. I still think he will start, but the point is maybe here and then he's going to be benched or be rested, whatever, because you don't want to overplay him and just get him injured. If he's injured, I think that's a big, big downer for Everton. They really need him, but just a very good player to watch as well, I have to say. James Rodriguez, one of my favourites to watch this season. And in terms of similar players, if you want some alternatives, there is Grealish, there is Barnes, there's Ziyech. I think he will come good when he actually plays, but I don't know if it's going to be by game week 5. We'll have to wait and see. So at the moment, I would go with James Rodriguez, even though they have a few tough fixtures on the horizon, including Liverpool, which I think it's normally a tight game, excluding the 5-2 win for Liverpool at home. But we'll have to wait and see with that one. I still back him to just produce the goods. Now, with Harry Kane, I've got Jimenez at the moment. I will probably give Jimenez a chance. I think he will do well. But if you're looking at two strikers, it has to be Kane and Dominic Calvert-Lewin to get in on a wild card. If you're having 3, it's going to be more difficult to fit in Kane and then Kevin De Bruyne and Salah and Son. So you'd have to make sacrifices elsewhere. But 6 assists for Kane, that is the most in the league. He's the most creative player at the moment. And he's got 3 goals as well. In all competitions, he has 8 goals, 7 assists in 6 games. He is just, this is probably the best form he has had in years, even though he has been good. In the last 2 years, he's still not reached the heights that he has previously. I think the lockdown and all of this and this new season, it's all benefited him because he's had a time to rest and to fully recharge, and he's just been on fire. And yeah, he's got the most expected assists also, and he's got the second highest expected goals, only behind Jamie Vardy. So yeah, in terms of expected goal involvements, Kane is the one with the most, and he is the talisman. However, he is also kind of assuming a more creative role in the Premier League, and Son's the one bombing forward, and that's why in the away matches, Son's pace is just devastating. Kane's vision and passing is integral to that. So you have to say Kane, very good so far. A lot of people think he's the best player in the Premier League. So far this season, you could say so. I don't think he is overall, but he is one of the best for sure, and he's proving it. He's only got 1 point less than Son. They're both the highest scoring players in the game. He is 10.6 million. He's gone up in price. He will go up in price even further if they continue this form. But yeah, still a bit of a differential at 22%. And yeah, I think he's just been very good, and he is fixture proof at the moment. And we'll have to wait and see how he does in the next few weeks. I do expect him to have some pretty big returns, especially against the likes of West Brom, maybe even West Ham and Brighton. But yeah, it's all looking good at the moment for Kane and Spurs. And last but definitely not least, Calvert-Lewin, the top scorer of the Premier League. You have to give this guy some credit. I think, if I'm not mistaken, someone correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe Calvert-Lewin is the only player to not blank so far this season. So he has produced in every single game. There might be 1 or 2 others, but he is the only one I can think of. And even in terms of expected goals, he is 3rd. So it's not a case of him just completely overperforming his expected goals. It is unsustainable, let's be real. He's not going to score at this rate every single time. He might even blank in his next game. But the point is, he has got James Rodriguez supplying him. He's got a very good midfield, some very good wingers as well, who are providing him, supply, even though James is technically playing right wing, but Richarlison also, they've got a very good connection from last season. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's also playing in Everton. I've already given all these statistics that prove that Everton are one of the best going forward and even defensively. So yeah, Everton are just a very good team. He's not even on penalties, so imagine how many goals he would get this season if he was on penalties. To be fair, I think Everton have only had one so far, and Richarlison took it against Crystal Palace, but yeah, I think this guy could definitely reach 20 goals, 25 goals maybe, if he was on penalties. Maybe he won't. But we'll have to wait and see. He's already nearly 50% owned. People are just on him like a rash. But Calvert-Lewin, an exceptional player at the moment. I will admit, I brought him in after the Spurs game because the reason why I didn't get him originally is because since Project Restart, he pretty much blanked every single game week. And I'm pretty sure I got rid of him quite early, so I didn't lose out on too many points there. But that was in the back of my mind. But now look at him this season. That's why Project Restart shouldn't be the benchmark or the thing you use to analyze all your decisions. Sometimes it goes right, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, in the case of Calvert-Lewin, I'm happy I brought him in before all of his price rises, even before he went to 7.1 million. I'm just happy I've got him in, and what an exceptional player he has been so far. And Everton have been just so good. But that's pretty much my team. There is also Brewster. I've got Davis at the moment. But yeah, Brewster, yeah, this is my team. Brewster's just probably the best at 4.5 million. I do expect him to get some opportunities at Sheffield. He is their club record signing. It would be a bit weird if he doesn't start, let's say by game week 7 or something like that. But yeah, he's just there for bench fodder really. Some people will start him. We'll have to wait and see in that case. I would only bring him in on a wildcard. I would not be swapping him out on a free transfer because we haven't seen anything yet. And you could use a free transfer elsewhere or save up the 2 to pretty much have more flexibility with your transfers. But yeah, that is my team. That is my analysis of some of the decisions I've made. Like I said, if you want free forwards, maybe you can't have Kane or you can't have one of Salah or De Bruyne or maybe even Son. You'd have to make adjustments elsewhere in terms of your budget. With the budget I have, with the team value I have, this team is possible. And there are alternatives which I have discussed, and I don't mind discussing more in the comment section down below because, for example, the Leeds defenders might be better than Walker Peters. He's just someone I've highlighted because I would like to have that option if I were to get rid of McCarthy. This actually looks like a very good team. The only thing is, of course, no Robertson or Trent. I know they conceded 7 in the last game, but they're not going to do that every game, even with Adrian, who... Let's be honest, he wasn't at fault for all of the goals. Liverpool were just really, really shaky, and Aston Villa were very, very good. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the season. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's been commenting, everyone who's been interacting with me. And yeah, share this video around if you enjoyed it. And I really appreciate all of you who have been watching and who have been supporting the channel. And I'll see you in the next video.